Hi, and welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning subscriber, hi again. It's so nice to see you back here for another video. My name's Tess Lark, and today I'm going to show you one technique that I use to get those blobby pieces of white out of my epoxy resin blooms. I've been getting a lot of comments from you guys about blobs and getting blobs in your epoxy resin blooms. So I wanted to show you one technique that I use to minimize those blobs, and I really hope that you find this helpful. As always, all the materials that I use for this project will be linked in the description down below. I was also gifted a bubble removing machine from Resiners. Hi Resiners, thank you very much. And we're going to be testing that out today as well to see how it works. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so each of my molds holds roughly 100 milliliters of resin, so I'm going to need 200 milliliters to start. I'm using my bubble removing machine to get the bubbles out of the resin before we get started here, so let's test this baby out. So just starting by slowly pouring my resin into each of those glasses, and you can see it has measurements marked on the side. I also took a Sharpie and marked it off just to make it a little bit more clear for me to see. Going in next, pouring my hardener, and again, when you're pouring your resin, you want to go slowly because the resin is quite viscous and it takes a while for it to level out and to stay where it's going to be. And you want to get pretty exact measurements so you don't have any problems with curing. After I've got my resin and my hardener measured out, I'm going to use a popsicle stick and mix those really thoroughly. You want to continue to mix your resin until it becomes pretty clear. It gets a bit foggy as you're mixing it with the hardener and then it clears again. And you just want to keep going until there's no striations. You want to make sure both parts of the resin and hardener are thoroughly incorporated. And I feel like this is a great time to remind you that if you are liking this video or you're finding it helpful or informative, please don't forget to give it a like. It not only helps out my channel a whole lot, but it also lets me know that I'm making content that you want to see from me. Now that I've got my resin mixed, let's go ahead and put it in the machine. But first, let's take a really good look at how the resin's looking. Is it bubbly? Is it not? Let's see. So we've got lots of little micro bubbles in here, as you can see. It's not overly bubbly, but it definitely could be more clear. But let's go ahead and put them in the machine and see what happens. So I've got the base of this machine here. I'm setting my resin right down at the bottom on a nice level surface, aka my desk. Putting the top on, and I'm gonna hit this little start button. I hit the AI button, so it just figured out what needs to happen. I don't know what those numbers mean. I don't know what's happening, but I know it's working. This was really, really strange to watch. Do you see all this air that's being sucked out of this resin? Yeah, I have no words. It was honestly pretty bonkers. I have never seen anything like this. It was definitely like a little science experiment happening in my bedroom. Essentially, this machine is like a little mini vacuum machine, and as you can see, the bottom of the cup, I put this on like almost time-lapse speed, but you can see the bubbles just rising to the surface, leaving me with this crystal clear resin. What do you think? Leave me a comment and let me know if you've seen something like this before. And also give this video a like if you found that footage to be as satisfying as I did. After the machine is done running its course, I'm releasing this little nozzle to let out the pressure so I can take off the top and pull out my resin. Look at this. Look at this. I'm a believer, you guys. This is kind of like a game changer, I would say. Look at how clear that resin is. Let me know on a scale of 1 to 10 how well you think that this product worked. All right, let's move along to our main event. Let's make some flowers. The colors I'm using today are Pinata Colors, Coral, and White, which is their Blanco Blanco, and Red by Let's Resin. For this project, I won't need a whole lot of colored resin, so I'm just taking 2 of my 1-ounce measuring cups and pouring a little bit of resin into each one of those, and then I'll add my pigment. So starting with my white, again, that's Blanco Blanco, Pinata Colors, and just to remind you, I do have all the materials that I use linked in the description, so all that information's there for you. But I'm just gonna take my popsicle stick and carefully mix that. I kind of filled it a little close to the top there, but I'm going to mix that really well until it's really well incorporated before transferring it into a sandwich baggie that I'll be using as a piping bag. So I'm using a empty cup to hold that open and pouring all of my white resin into that before I seal it off and set it off to the side. I'm not going to cut the tip until right before I'm ready to use it, just to minimize the mess. After I've got that set off to the side, I'm going to repeat the same process using both the coral and the red. So I kind of want to make my own little color, so I'm going to do a little color combo here using both Pinata Colors Coral and the red from Let's Resin. And while I prep this color, I just wanted to say a really quick thank you to everybody who subscribed. I cannot believe that this channel is almost at 8,500 subscribers. That is so crazy to me. I'm so happy that so many of you resonate with what I'm doing here and have decided to subscribe. I love seeing you guys interact in the comments and answering each other's questions. I really hope that we can continue growing this community and learning from each other. So again, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, next up is glitter, which I'm going to be using for the center of my blooms. So I'm just taking a little bit of chunky glitter from Let's Resin and pouring that into the last one of my little measuring cups. I poured the glitter first, and as you can see here, I just put a very small amount of resin on my popsicle stick and added that to the glitter, and that is because I want to keep the glitter in a bit of a paste consistency so it doesn't spread out throughout my piece. And you can always add a little bit more glitter if you feel like you've made it too runny. You essentially don't want it to fall off of a popsicle stick immediately. Next, I'm going to pour a layer of clear resin, and this does not need to fill up the entire piece because we will be adding our colored resin to it, so you want to give yourself a little bit of wiggle room to work with. After I've got that layer of clear resin down, my next step will be to put a little bit of my glitter in the center of each one of these molds to mark the center of the flower. I think it has a really beautiful finishing effect for the flower, and it also helps you kind of have a point, like a center point to make your circles around, just because sometimes when you're in it can get away from you. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Next, I'm going to very carefully cut the tips off of my piping bags that have the colored resin in them. You definitely don't want your hole to be too big or it's just going to run out way too quick, and you want it to be big enough that you have a pretty good amount of control. So I'm just starting the first one here, and I'm just, if you can see here, kind of starting the circles at different places. I can already see where I'm going to have some blobs. Do you see where the white is connecting? That's normally where the pigment is the heaviest, and where you get the blobs, the dreaded blobs that everybody hates. But I'm going around my white with some red resin, and as you can see here, I've only done like maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. More than that, and I feel like the flowers get a little bit muddy. So using my popsicle stick, I'm just drawing all of that resin into the center and creating some petals. Next, I'll hit that with my heat gun to pop any bubbles and kind of bloom out those colors together, and then we'll move on to our next one. This one I'm going to try to avoid my blobs. So I'm cleaning off the tip here and just making sure I get a nice even flow. And I'm starting my circles. If you can see here, I'm going to start all of the circles in the same area. So right where that first blob was, there's my next circle, starting again in that same area. So I've got all of those heavy pieces of white in the same line. You see that? Right there? Same line, all the blobs. There we go. Okay, next we're going to go in with our red and just putting those red concentric circles between my white circles. And the reason I want all of my circles to start in the same place, I'm even starting the red ones in the same place, is because when I start to make my petals, I'm going to use the popsicle stick and I'm going to go directly through those blobs so I can break them up. So taking the popsicle stick again on those line of blobs, that's going to be my first line into the center. You see that? I think that's going to help. I hope that this helps some of you guys. I really do. I want you guys to love the projects that you're making. And, you know, sometimes things don't work out on the first or second or third or even fourth try. But as long as you're having fun and you're learning as you go, I think I really think that that's really what it's all about. But I do think that you can use this technique to hide any little imperfections that you have. Like if you drop a little ink, don't worry, all is not lost. You can use your popsicle stick and incorporate that into the piece and still get a really pretty result. So let's let these cure and see how they turn out. I'm gonna go ahead and cover them up just so no dust gets in, and I will see you guys really soon. All right, so I went ahead and I let my pieces cure completely. They're nice and solid. So let's go ahead and pop them out of their molds and see how they turned out. I'm gonna start with the one that I suspect to have more blobs in it first. And really quick, I just wanted to point out my alcohol ink did leave these kind of little lines of pigment. I think that the inks that I'm using are a bit old. I thought that I had mixed all of it out, but it doesn't look like it. Anyway, let's go ahead and see how this turned out. It is really pretty. I love the definition in the petals, but as you can see here, like I've definitely got one big blob of white, some over here. It's kind of blobby in this area too. And if you remember, I didn't break those blobs up in the white as it was curing. So I've got like a blob here, a little one here on this area. But overall, it is still really pretty. And let's go ahead and pull out the second one. A lot smoother. I don't have any really big heavy parts of white on this one. You can see how this one's a lot smoother. I don't have any of those really big blobs. Alcohol ink kind of did something strange in this little corner here. Can you see that? You can kind of see it more on this side. It's like separating out a bit. Definitely not intentional, but kind of neat still. The center of my bloom kind of migrated on this one too. I do think I made it a bit too liquidy when I was adding my resin to the glitter, so it kind of migrated. But overall, I'm happy with this one too. Just both of them together for comparison. Definitely see those blobs there where this one is a bit more delicate. Let me know what you guys think and if this was helpful. Also, I hope you don't mind the mess on my desk. I've been getting back into copper electroforming, so that's been kind of taking up a bunch of my time lately. And I'm hoping to have my Etsy updated soon, and I will definitely let you guys know when that happens, just so you can check out all of the other things that I make. And also, if anybody is interested in the process of copper electroforming, leave me a comment and let me know. I've been playing around with the idea of making a video like that for this channel, but I'm also not sure if the algorithm will like it, because right now I've got a lot of resin art on here. But if there's enough of you interested, I would definitely be happy to make a tutorial or two going over the basics of electroforming. Anyways, I will stop yapping. As always, guys, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for spending part of your day with me, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this video. And if you did make it all the way to the end of the video, leave me some sort of food-themed emoji or comment just so I know that you made it. I really hope that this video inspires you to make something of your own today. Also, leave me a comment and let me know what you think of that Resiners machine. It's pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. I was really surprised at how well it worked, and I'll definitely be using that for future projects. Let me know if you've seen anything like that before and what you thought of that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!